The first time I heard the scratching inside the walls, I thought it was just the house settling. Old buildings made noises all the time, wood expanding, nails shifting, pipes ticking, nothing unusual, or at least that's what I tried to tell myself while staring up at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, the sound repeating with an unnatural rhythm instead of fading like normal creaks would. Scratch. Pause. Scratch, scratch. Long drag. Too slow for a mouse. Too deliberate for anything I could explain. I remember checking the clock on my nightstand. 2:17 a.m. The red digits glowed across the dark room, the only thing keeping the shadows from pressing all the way in. The sound came again, this time from the wall right behind my headboard. Scratch. Long drag. Scratch. I sat up, heart ticking faster with each sound. The room was cold, too cold. Winter had already taken most of the warmth out of the walls, but this felt different, like something inside the house was drawing heat out of the air. I reached for my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the wall. The wallpaper, a faded pattern of red and gold flowers, looked normal, but the sound felt deeper than the surface, like something was dragging its nails across the inner beams. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next week, it only got worse. The scratches moved. One night they came from the ceiling, the next from under the floorboards. Once, while brushing my teeth before school, I heard it coming from behind the bathroom mirror, and for a moment I imagined the glass cracking open to reveal a face pressed right against the other side. But the worst part wasn't the sound. It was when it stopped. Because when it stopped, something else began. My parents always said our house was old but safe, built in 1912, survived a fire in the 40s, some minor flooding decades later. Nothing supernatural, nothing dangerous. But houses don't sigh. Not like that. One night, about 10 days after the scratching began, I woke up to a sound that shook me awake instantly. It wasn't the dragging or the clawing I'd become weirdly used to. It was a breath. A long, low exhale from somewhere directly above my bed. I froze. My eyes stayed squeezed shut, but every part of my body tightened and screamed to run. Another breath, slower this time, as if inhaling deeply, drawing in the air around me. Then the faintest whisper. Not words, just a low trembling sound like wind through a cracked doorway, except there was no wind. All my windows were shut, the night outside was dead still. The only movement in the room was the cold raising the hair on my arms. I opened my eyes. The ceiling was pitch black. Not dark, black. A heavy, pulsing shadow clung to it like smoke, stretching across the entire room. For a moment, I thought I saw fingers, long, thin shapes curling at the edges of the darkness. But when my breath caught, the shape dissolved, retreating upward like mist drawn toward an invisible vent. The ceiling light flickered once, weak and desperate, then steadied. The darkness was gone, but the whisper remained. It came from inside the wall nearest my door. This time, it sounded like it was trying to speak. I stumbled out of bed, nearly tripping over my blanket, and grabbed my phone. My hands shook so badly that the flashlight bobbed across the room. I pressed my ear against the wall despite every instinct telling me not to. At first, I heard nothing. Then, open. My blood turned to ice. The voice was small, strained, muffled by the wall, but it was unmistakably human. Open. The door. Not my bedroom door. The basement door. I didn't want to go. Of course I didn't. But when a voice whispers from inside your house, the house you've lived in your whole life, you can't help wanting answers, even if your fear is screaming louder than the voice could ever be. I crept into the hallway. The wooden floor was cold under my bare feet. At the end of the hall, the basement door waited, shut tight. The whispering continued, leaking from the cracks around it like cold air. Open. 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 I reached the doorknob. My fingers shook. I hoped it was locked. It wasn't. The moment I twisted it, the whispering stopped. Completely. The silence was so sudden that I almost wished the voice would come back. I pushed the door open. Cold air hit me like a slap. The lights on the stairwell were off, and my flashlight barely reached the bottom. The shadows looked thicker down there, deeper, like they weren't just waiting, they were hiding something. I told myself I was being stupid, that there had to be a normal explanation, rats, drafts, the furnace. But the furnace wasn't running, and rats didn't whisper. I stepped down the stairs. The darkness at the bottom felt heavier, almost physical, like I was walking into water instead of air. When I reached the floor, something shifted in the corner, just a flicker of movement. I swung the light that way. Nothing. Just old shelves, dusty boxes, and the low hum of the water heater. I turned slowly, shining the light across each wall. Everything looked ordinary. Then my light passed over the far wall and stopped. There were scratch marks. Long, fresh grooves torn straight through the paint and drywall, reaching almost 6 feet high, as if something had raked its nails across the wall again and again. The edges were sharp, clean, not old, not worn. Something had done this recently. My legs went weak. I stumbled backward, and that's when I saw it. A gap I had never seen before. A narrow horizontal opening near the floor, maybe 10 inches high, running along the baseboard. I crouched down, shining my light inside. There was a hollow space behind the wall, a cavity big enough for a person to crawl through. And in that cavity, something moved. Not fast, not slow, just a small shift, a subtle dragging sound like someone pulling their hand across concrete. Then a face appeared, pale, gaunt, eyes too wide, too dark, skin stretched thin over bone. It smiled. My flashlight flickered. The figure crawled forward, fingers emerging first, thin, jointed wrong, bending too easily. Its nails were long, split, sharp. The same nails that had been scratching inside my walls. I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I sprinted up the stairs, slammed the basement door shut, locked it, pushed a chair in front of it, and collapsed against the wall, gasping for air that wouldn't fill my lungs. The house was silent. Too silent. Then, tap. 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 From the other side of the basement door. Slow. Careful. Testing the wood. Then the voice came back. Clearer now. Not like a whisper, more like a person standing right behind the door. Open.